These last 4 petals are often called invisible structure. The first 3 have to do with things you can see and touch. These last 4 are about relationships, how we relate to each other. And these are just as important to regenerative design as the first 3, as often projects fail when that isn't done. So we're going to give you a few examples of how permaculture would approach these points. Culture and education are both deep subjects, but we're just going to touch on them here. How do cultural beliefs and practices shape how someone's going to apply or use permaculture design? Someone from an urban area like New York City will have different ways of approaching food growing, for instance, than someone living in the countryside of Vietnam. The good thing about permaculture principles and tools is that they can be applied in any culture and adapted for very different circumstances. As far as education goes, we strongly believe that experience is an enormously important factor in learning a skill set like permaculture design. We thus encourage people to take the time to observe for themselves anything we're discussing. The first principle of permaculture is to observe and to interact. It's a deeply valuable learning tool. That's why we offer hands-on exercises for each section of our courses. And we encourage you to come up with your own ways of experiencing the information for yourself. In Western culture, we're used to being taught by listening to a teacher and then answering questions on a test. We use that format here because people have learned to access information in that way. But we also use immersion, interaction, hands-on experience, and other tools because they help people access information on deeper levels. In the South Central Food Forest, as one example, Adonijah left the food forest untrimmed and not weeded. He wanted students to experience a natural ecosystem so they could observe and feel it and be immersed in it. They could observe the patterns of how nature produces abundance on her own and learn from this direct experience. This natural system is something that some people in urban areas may never experience. An untrimmed food forest, where organic matter is returned to the earth, is the way that nature continues to build soil. A number of interesting studies illustrate that kids' test scores go down when recess is taken away, so they spend more time in the classroom. That's still true for me as an adult, maybe for everybody. Test scores go up when they spend more time, not less, outside at recess or gardening. This is not any surprise to us. There's deep pattern languages in nature that are mathematical, that have inspired great literature and art, and can educate us in so many ways. So go outside and look for yourself at what we're talking about. The way that we approach all of the other petals can increase our health and spiritual wellness. Many people feel that just being in nature is healing for the body and mind. All of these petals are very interdependent, yet we so often treat them as if they have nothing to do with one another, and they're off in their own little corners. Some people have started calling the action of taking leisurely walks in a forest bathing. It's an art form in Japan and has become an accepted practice to reduce stress and a host of stress-related health issues. Most of us tend to feel more relaxed after a hike in the woods. Strolling through one's own food forest can have a similar effect. Studies have shown that the act of gardening with living soils can boost one's immune system and improve your mental health. People regularly practice earthing or being in direct touch with the earth, which gardening can do. Similarly, camping is known to be relaxing due to the closeness of soil and the absence of materials such as concrete. The lifestyle changes that permaculture creates for many can also reduce stress in multiple ways. All of these petals are very interdependent, yet we so often treat them as if they have nothing to do with one another, and they're off in their own little corners.